High Level is a full CRM and marketing platform, and I've used some of the best in the SaaS industry. And we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, X, and Instagram. It's Revening's Wednesday. Welcome to WinsDay, Revenue Party people. We've got our hot topics and guests we're going to get into here in just a moment. But of course, I'm first of all tuning in from a different location than normal. I'm on Campbell's Island. Anyone in the comments know where Campbell's Island is? You get 100 bonus points. If you do bonus points for what? I don't know. Hello there of Ince Danny. Am I saying that right? Put your name in the chat like phonetically and I'll say it. I'm curious what that is. But yeah, comment. We want to know, where are you tuning in from? This conversation is for you. So if you are tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from and also what you do, what's your industry, what's your job, so we can talk specifically to you. We're going to be talking about AI, content, and B2B growth. So if that's relevant to you, you are in the right spot. We're going to be bringing in these amazing guests here in just a moment. But before we do, I have to mention Cherry Assistant. Right now, we are working with Cherry Assistant. And so we've got assistants who are helping us in the background producing this show, who we delegate to. So reach out to cherryassistant.com. You can scan this QR code if you're watching on video, and Cherry Assistant helps place assistants from around the globe with you that might have the skills and the job that you're looking for. So we're looking for people who moderate comments and produce live streams and create social media content, edit videos, stuff like that. But you might be looking for a bookkeeper or maybe an executive assistant. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure there's someone in the world who might be able to help you. And the best way to grow is to delegate and, work yourself out of your current role so you can go and accomplish other things. So for me, that's sales. When I can get out of marketing, then I get to go sell. Yes, I do like to sell, but that type of stuff. Yeah. But anyway, delegate. Go to cherryassistant.com. Thanks to Cherry Assistant for being a part of the show. We love them. And as well as High Level. If you haven't heard of High Level, it's a CRM and marketing automation platform. Only $97 a month to get started. I'm sorry, but let's see, I don't know. We won't say how long ago it was when I was first working with CRMs, but it was like multiple digits to get this type of functionality. These days it's not, and these tools are built around AI. So if you're looking for a place to store your leads, not just do that, but do actionable things with them, like email them. You can build calendars in there. There's automation. So we've white labeled High Level. So now when you work with Reventing, our agency here, where we help other businesses go live on LinkedIn, they get access to it too through app.reventing.com. But I digress. Again, if you're here, I see there's 9 of you here on YouTube. I don't know how many more there are of you on LinkedIn. Let me know. Tell us you're here. Comment. But as you do, let's bring in the guests. Welcome to the show. We've got George and Alex here with us. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday. I know it's not always easy to show up live, but you're both here and I appreciate it.
Great to be here. Thanks.
Absolutely. Well, in good old fashioned Wednesday style, we're going to ask you both to introduce yourself by telling us your full life story from birth to what brought you to now. Of course, everybody, if you're tuning in, go search them on LinkedIn. You can find what their resume is there and ask your questions. But right now, we want to know really who you are as a human, because like we say at Reventing, people connect with people, not brands. So we're thinking it helps you. And hello, Alone. What's your name? Can you spell that out phonetically too? Silva, I know is the last name, but I digress. George, can you tell us who you are and what brought you here?
All right. Great. Hello, everybody. So I'm George Couris. I was born and raised in Oak Park, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago, if you're familiar with that. I was born into a Greek family. My dad moved here when he was 17 from very modest beginnings and went to school, went to work, went through all the channels, got his citizenship, and became an American. And that has been kind of a driver for me my whole life. If he could leave his whole life at 17 years old, move to a country that he didn't even speak the language, and be successful, that's something to live up to. So kind of always had that little extra drive there growing up. Went to school to University of Illinois in Champaign, one of the Final Four teams this year in the NCAA tournament. Graduated in a recession and was looking for marketing roles, and there really were none. So I started off in sales, and I recommend that very highly to young people that I talk to all the time. If you're looking to get into marketing, take a sales job. It's a great way to understand both, the whole aspect of it, and it's really good for marketers to have some sales experience. Anyway, that was with Michelin Tire. Worked my way up the ladder there, and I went to grad school part-time. A few years later, of all places, in a Taekwondo class, I met a guy who had just started a design firm. We hit it off, and we decided to join forces and built the company into what it is today. He's since exited, and Pepper Group today is a full-service B2B marketing firm, and we really focus on helping our B2B clients grow their enterprise value, grow the value of their companies through smarter marketing. Then I got an invitation to a live stream, and here I am.
Awesome. Well, awesome. I grew up in Moline, Illinois, so on the other side of the state, but I've definitely heard of Oak Park.
All right.
And did you say University of Illinois?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely heard of that. So lots of great experts have come out of University of Illinois. But anyway, I digress. Thank you so much for sharing your story and for being here with us tonight. Alex, could you do the same now? Share your full life story from birth to what brought you to now?
Yeah, happy to. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me. So I'm Alex. I run Skip right now. I'll go backwards, so I'll start from now and go to the beginning. So just to keep it interesting. So for the last 5 or 6 years, I've advised startup founders on how to market, a bunch of highly successful people, and have really enjoyed working with them and helping them grow their businesses. Before that, I was a startup founder, so I did that for 7 years on my own company. It was an AI company, started in 2013. Focused on pricing. There's a whole story there we won't go into, but we were very early to the AI game, I guess you could call it that. And then before that, I worked for startups. So I worked for, I've lost count, but a lot of startups, always in a go-to-market role. Some of them went on to go public or got bought. One got bought for a lot of money by LinkedIn. That was a Kleiner and Sequoia seed-funded startup. So it was as one of my friends said, you're in the MBA now, so you gotta get it done, or you're gonna go back down. So that was a lot of fun. And then before that, I was in business school at UCLA, grad school. Before that, at the London School of Economics, and undergrad at Dartmouth. I grew up here in California, and I've managed to make my way back. That's me. That's me in brief.
Amazing. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Another really interesting story of, I don't know, just entrepreneurs. It's always interesting to hear like the background of where you come from, especially as we get into these topics. So let's do that. Let's get into our first topic, which I believe, and I know we just talked about this, and now it's spacing me, but I thought the first topic was George, but actually I think the first topic is Alex. So Alex, could you kick us off on go-to-market strategy with AI? Alex, are you there? Are you with us?
I am here. I missed a bunch of what you said, but I know because we talked about it before, we want to talk about go-to-market strategy with AI. So should I just jump in?
Yes, please.
Awesome. So, I mean, everybody's heard about AI. I think you have to be living under a very large and dark rock not to. I think one of the things that people are most interested in is, how do I use this for my business? And I think that if you're a software company or a company that deals with anything related to software. There are obvious applications of AI in software development. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that using AI for go-to-market can be extremely effective. So there are a lot of different areas where AI can be effective. So I know George is going to talk about content. There's a ton of stuff you can do, whether it's writing emails, whether it's reviewing emails, whether it's coaching your sales team, writing blog posts, writing long form content, reading long form content and consolidating it into, say, like a weekly update email for your clients. There's so much you can do in go-to-market with AI that's kind of obvious. There's also non-obvious stuff. Like recently, I worked with a sort of YouTube expert, a video expert, and he showed me this insane workflow for building meta ads. So you can build a bunch of different meta ads using VO3 and a tool called Weavy that would have cost you tens of thousands of dollars in production and taken months that now you can do in an afternoon. So it's what you can do sort of in go-to-market is really spectacular. Skip focuses on the sales enablement piece of it. So whether that's finding people to reach out to you, finding your target customer, sending emails to them, automating that process based on triggers. So a lot of people use AI to figure out who's on their website. So if you maybe spend money on those meta ads, spend money on Google ads, I'm not sure it would be great if people could drop in the comments or in the chat what their business is or what their interest is. But as you see all these different applications, a lot of AI companies have built specific solutions for different aspects of that go-to-market problem. And so one of the ones that we focused on is like, how do you automate this outreach? Somebody shows up at your website and you reach out to them automatically and engage them. They're obviously interested in what you do. And that gets you more mileage out of those other channels. You're spending money on Google, you're spending money on Meta, you're spending money maybe on TikTok or LinkedIn. Now that you have somebody visiting your website, can you then reach out to them even if they didn't go on? So there's a lot of stuff you can do with AI in go-to-market. The last thing I'll say is that I think people get a little overwhelmed because there's so much you can do. And if you're ever on LinkedIn, which I'm sure a lot of you are watching this on LinkedIn, like everybody on LinkedIn seems to have some magic beans for go-to. And I think it's really easy to get overwhelmed and intimidated. But I would suggest starting small, starting with a newsletter, starting with writing sales emails, starting with finding contacts. Like pick one or two things and try that. And you'll be surprised. You do have to invest some time in getting good at it. But if you choose a good vendor, you can end up really, really delivering a lot of value for you.
Absolutely. No, that's a really great point. Thanks for sharing that. What's your take on all this, George?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think what Alex said about starting small and growing is really key because there's so many different tools. There's so many things you could do. It's easy to get overwhelmed. And that's one of the things that when I talk a little bit later about marketing systems, having a system in place is really key, incredibly, especially now, because there's so many different things that you could be doing, and prioritizing and identifying what makes sense is really the important thing. Also, one of the things that's going to separate the marketers who win versus those who don't is their ability to learn and innovate and constantly just stay in touch with what's happening and stay on top of new technologies and new tools. So experimentation and evaluation of new tools is important, but also keeping it all within a strategy and not letting yourself just get distracted by shiny objects, trying this, trying that, because that's going to be, the path to just activity, but not results. So yeah, I think there's some great opportunities with AI for sure. Last thing I'll say too is human in the loop, I think is really important. I think Alex will agree with this.
What was that?
Human in the loop is very important. AI, I say AI first, as an approach.
Gotcha. It cut out
AI
for a second,
last.
but I hear you.
Yeah, you don't want AI last, right? AI is a great tool. You still have to have the human behind it, driving it, and making sure that what we're doing still has that personal connection with people, because trust is key, and I think you can erode that trust if you don't guide your AI tools correctly.
Yeah. Wow, such a good point. And I totally agree with you on the human in the loop part. I think that's such an important part to mention. And actually, I'm a fractional CMO at a show on a company called BDEX. They do have a show called Deconstructing Data, and we've been running that. I don't know. I think we're in close to episode 300 now, and it might be not quite to 300, but it might be two something. And anyway, one thing that commonly comes up now with AI across industries is this human in the loop idea. And so I'm really glad you mentioned that. It's something that comes up recurring. AI, people are so afraid that AI is going to take jobs, but AI is just going to change jobs, I think is the general consensus we feel, like, yes, it might take some jobs away. And we're seeing that in LinkedIn posts. People are losing jobs due to, agentic AI, but like, I don't know. Yeah, I want to just pass it back over to Alex to wrap us up on this topic. It's so important of AI, and it's not too late to comment on it. Like if you're here listening, we want to hear from you on what you think about this too. But yeah, Alex, how would you wrap us up on this?
Yeah, I think George's advice is great. I mean, you've got to experiment and you've got to try different stuff to learn it. I do think it's taking jobs though. I think that so it depends on your approach and what you're doing. There are a lot of, especially in the startup world, companies that just aren't hiring as many people as they used to hire because you don't need to, right? I mean, you used to need a copywriter, and now you can do most of the copywriting in Claude or ChatGPT, and it's honestly kind of better than having a copywriter in most cases. So I do think that there's definitely change. Some of it might be viewed as negative, but I think just like a lot of past inventions, the jobs will evolve and there will still be a lot of need for people to do those jobs. So I would say if you're watching this and you don't have a job, like really learn AI because that's an important skill. And then if you do, I think it's important to learn AI if you're in sales or marketing or any of these go-to-market facing roles, because there are people out there that are learning it. And if you don't keep up, you're not going to be able to compete. I think it's really hard when you have a job and you have a bunch of stuff to do to try and go learn a new tool or learn a new trick. So don't try and do everything with it, but pick one thing. Like George said, do small experiments to figure out if it can work. And I do think that working with either an advisor or vendor, some of the consultants don't really know what they're doing. They're just good at posting on LinkedIn and pretending. But I think if you find a credible vendor or a credible partner in some of these things, they can really get you going. Whether you work with them long term, it depends. But at least they can point you in the right direction for the beginning. So definitely think that's good.
100%. Yeah, no, that's great advice as well. Thank you for that. All right. Well, I believe, Alex, you may be getting an air. I'm not sure. I think I saw that in the private chat, just keeping it real here live. But if that's the case, we're going to move into the second topic, which is disciplined marketing systems, signal investor. What was that? Well, let me say it. Disciplined marketing systems, signal investor readiness. So we'll get into that. And if you need to jump out and come back in, that'd be awesome. We're just trying to get that local recording for the post-production material.
Yeah, I will as soon as George kicks off.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So
All
George,
right.
Can you kick us off on this topic?
Yeah, sure. All right. So yeah, with AI has just made this even more urgent, but there's a need for marketers. Marketers have a very difficult job today, and it's getting more and more difficult. They're under more pressure than ever. They have to do more with less, to justify everything, defend their budgets. They have to leverage AI, evaluate all these technologies, align with sales, maintain the human touch, but still automate. All of these things are continuing to increase the pressure on marketing and marketing teams. And one of the things that I've noticed really is that I'm trying to pull all this together. The best framework that's out there right now is something that got popular in the 1960s. It's called the funnel. Everyone knows the funnel. We talk about our funnels, and people use that to put together their marketing plans. Put together a marketing approach. Where are we in the funnel, etc. 1965, think about that, right? That was 30 years before AOL started mailing out CDs to get people on dial-up internet. Things have changed a lot in those years. pre-internet to today, yet we're still using a framework that was built for the way the world was back then. I'm publishing a book later this year called The Revenue Tower, and it's about a new system. It's a new marketing operating system, which I can get into a little bit in a minute as well. But I wanted to start with the reasons why the funnel needs to be just tossed, and some things that could be considered controversial or people may not agree with. But I really don't think the funnel is a good way to talk about B2B marketing. I don't think it's a good framework. It's outdated. And just a few reasons why. One of them, again, it was built so long ago when the customers that we're talking about, the prospects, they didn't have a lot of information at their fingertips. They now have total control of the process. So the funnel is seller-centered, and we need something that's buyer-centered, right? We're not putting anybody in our funnels as sellers. They are deciding who they're going to talk to. They're funneling the vendors. The process isn't linear anymore either. And, the awareness, intent, interest, action, that kind of process back then things were more linear. Nowadays, the buyer's journey is 100% not linear. The funnel model, if you think about it too, there's nothing in there about marketing to your current customers. And with all the clients that we work with, in a lot of cases, the biggest opportunity is for them to market to their current customer base or their past customers, market to them for expanding new opportunities, finding new areas to grow the business within those customers, having them be referral sources and leave reviews, things like that, cross-selling. There's so many opportunities to market to current customers. That is not mentioned anywhere in the funnel model. And neither is strategy, messaging, creativity. None of that really matters. And if you look at that and you use that as a marketing framework. And
Yeah.
the last thing I'll say about it is that in a funnel, think about a funnel. You show this to anybody else who's not in marketing, and they see this model and they see customers popping out of the bottom, pulled down by gravity. They think, well, that's okay. That doesn't look too hard. And everyone that has done marketing and sales knows that gravity is not working for you. Customers aren't just popping out of the bottom of your funnel. You really have to work to get those customers. And the whole idea of a model that says customers just fall out of the bottom, pulled by gravity, doesn't really work for me either. So I'll pause here for a second, but the idea is that especially with the AI-powered tools, having a real B2B marketing system in combination with those is really going to make B2B marketing much stronger.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with funnels, especially based on what we do. We'll see that people will go out, they'll create all this amazing content, they'll have podcasts, they'll have leads coming in, but there's no funnel.
Mm-hmm.
The leads are sitting there and sales isn't calling all these leads. So
That's
yeah, what you're saying.
That's what the AI is for, though.
Yeah, all right.
Yes, yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
what's your
if you
take
look
on all
at-
that?
If you look at the
go
old
ahead.
funnel, Alex, if you look at the old funnel model, in the old days, it was very expensive to keep in touch with people. You moved them through.
Right.
If they didn't process to the next level, you forgot about them because you couldn't keep in touch with them. Well, now that, you don't want to let anybody go. And that's what AI can do, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I've it's funny, until you said that, I haven't really found that. I mean, we just use funnels just so ingrained in both the consulting advising work I do and just the business world that you don't really question it. But I agree with you. I mean, now, especially with the rise of ChatGPT and Claude, those, like, the buyers go to Claude and ChatGPT and say, hey, I need a cold email system. Which one should I look at? And if you're not showing up there, they never find you, right? And they may drift in and out. I mean, what we've seen is that, I work with companies that have 18-month sales cycles and that, skip. Most people that show up, if they really have a need, they'll buy within 24 or 48 hours, maybe a week tops, depending on the size of the company and the amount of buy-in they need to get. But every customer journey is different. And I think that the anti-funnel is sort of this customer journey concept of like your buyer's going to buy the way they buy, and if you just try and force them into this paradigm that you put people in the top and they come off the bottom, it means that you don't do things like this live stream. To me, like live streams like this are a great way for people to get to know us. Yeah, maybe somebody finds us, but it's really more the people that are already interested in what we do will, come to a live stream like this, learn a little bit more, form a deeper sort of connection, a deeper understanding, and then maybe they'll buy later, right? Maybe they won't, but maybe they'll tell a friend. I totally agree. I think that the funnel thing doesn't make sense. The last thing I'll say is one of my sales coaches years ago had this great, analogy around pipelines, because everybody, part of the sales funnel is the sales pipeline, and the marketing funnel is the sales pipeline. And I asked him, like, how do I get people to like come through the pipeline? I'm trying to, they're like stuck in it. And if you use the analogy, you can really abuse it. And he was like, you don't pull people through, you put more people in the top. Like if you're busy and you're getting more people into your pipeline, the more will come out the other end. Are they the same ones that you were trying to pull through? Maybe not. But the key here, and I think funnels, the sort of gravity analogy is great. It's not helpful, right? Like it's not oil. It's not, a funnel with water flowing through it or whatever. Like it takes a lot of work to get people through it, and they have to want to go through it, right? If they're on a journey and it doesn't involve buying your product, it's better to figure that out than keep trying to push them to buy your product.
Yeah, it takes like 40 touch points these days. It's like not just a funnel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, or two. I mean, we've had people show up, click a Google ad, have a call with me or somebody on my team, maybe have one more call and subscribe. For, like, it's not necessarily cheap, right? It's over $1,000 a month in 48 hours, right? They went to the web. I'm sure they did a bunch of other thinking about it, right? But it's, you don't have to make it a long journey. Sometimes it is, but I think that there's, both things can be true, but I do think that the companies that don't think about those 40 touch points or don't acknowledge that their customer is on this buying journey, right, and just say like, oh, we care about, like they look at their customer through their own eyes, like, well, he talked to us on Monday, why hasn't he signed an agreement? It's Friday now, right? It's like, well, that's maybe he has another job, like maybe you're not the only thing he cares about. So it's important to think about all those touch points.
Yeah, we are a HubSpot partner, and we high-level HubSpot partner. We do a lot of HubSpot implementations. We just signed up a new client with HubSpot. That buyer journey was crazy. We've been talking to them for a couple of years about it. Like maybe next year we got the CRM implementation. We'll get to it, whatever. They got a new guy came in, a new contact of ours came into the sales team. And he's known about HubSpot, for many, many years. He was trying to get it implemented at his other company, never was successful there. He was using the free version. He came in, we told him that we were trying to get them, set up with this new CRM. He said, oh, I love HubSpot. And then he championed it internally to get it done. It's a very non-linear buyer journey for that client to buy that HubSpot. And that's a great example of, they do it right. They stay in touch with people. They've stayed in touch. He's aware of HubSpot for 10 years. He was he got a demo, years and years ago. He was using the free version. They kept in touch with him. They stayed and kept him engaged. And then finally, when he goes to this new company and all the stars align, he's able to get that signed up. So
it's like they didn't even sell him at the company he's at. It sounds like they sold him at his prior company. And you guys, I assume, were there to help kind of shepherd it along.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to empower him. They didn't empower him with the tools, and you did, and it worked.
Right, just very nonlinear.
Very nonlinear, yeah. Love this topic. We could go on and on, I'm sure, about this, especially how those systems signal investor readiness. But we do still have two more really great topics, which are effective outreach for today's market and evolving B2B content strategy for modern buyers, that we're going to get to right after this really brief message from us here at WinsDay. We've got an ad that'll play along with Cherry Assistant, our sponsor.
This is Mike, also known as Clean with Mike on Twitter. Mike hired a virtual assistant from Cherry Assistant about 2 years ago. Now, he has a $50K per month business fully managed by a remote operator in South Africa. His VA from South Africa does the following: closing inbound leads on the phone, Yelp and Google and Facebook, manages his CRM and go high level, deals with rescheduling, cancellations, any issues, hires and manages the cleaners, and sends them daily reports and updates. Mike has a fully cash flowing business managed by a remote operator for only $8 an hour. You can also hire a US equivalent worker in the Philippines, South Africa, Latin America for a fraction of the cost with Cherry Assistant. Be like Mike and grow your business with offshore staff.
If you're listening on podcasts, we're showing a menu of services, including lead generation, CRM management, prospecting assistance, sales presentation prep, data entry, and so many more. If you are watching, just scan that QR code, or if you're on podcast, just go to cherryassistant.com. Be sure to mention that you heard about them here for $250 off your first month. At Reviting, we help B2B founders, executives, brands turn their live streaming into a real revenue channel. One live stream turns into a podcast. It turns into a social clip. It turns into email content like a newsletter and actual sales conversations. You get to have a lot of conversations with people when you have a podcast or a live stream like this. And if you want to be known, trusted, and remembered in your industry without being online 24/7, worrying about your posting, this is what we do. Just head on over to reviting.com and let's build your show.
I want to give a quick testimonial for the Reviting team and Jessie. I was really nervous about doing lives. And so thanks to Jessie and her team, I've now been doing them for, I think, 7 or 8 months now. The other thing is they very much have helped me increase my reach and online presence. So thank you, Reviting and Jessie.
One of the problems that we struggle with is getting our brand out there. What Jessie and her team have been able to do for us is to take advantage of LinkedIn and the idea of going live on LinkedIn and using that platform to its fullest extent through the way they're able to take the live event and break it down into bite-sized posts. Their team shows up very organized. They were able to take what was limited in terms of how our brand shows up, but actually turn that into visualizations for the different shows, the video clips that are being taken, as well as the content within the posts themselves.
Jessie, I love what you and the team do. You make it so easy for me to get in, have a meaningful conversation with some amazing guests, and then watch the post-production. But I've been picking up 50 followers a day just because that content is resonating so well. And I've had a number of people reach out to me who want to be guests on the show. So it's working across a lot of different channels for me, and I can't thank you enough.
Awesome. Thank you so much to those customers for their testimonial ads. But let's get back into these hot topics. So our third topic, effective outreach for today's market. George, can you kick us off here? Actually, no, I'm wrong. I'm backwards. I'm sorry. Alex.
Yes, I thought so.
George,
Sure,
the next
sure.
one.
I was like, I was actually kind of excited for what George was going to say, because I'm sure he's got interesting opinions. Yeah, so I think outreach has changed a lot. So 5 years ago, when I was running my own company, not that I'm not doing the same thing today, but back then, I remember filling a conference calendar in there was a big conference in an industry we're thinking about going into. I told my SDR, hey, if you get me 5 meetings, this was 2 weeks out, if you get me 5 meetings, I'll get a plane ticket and I'll go. And he got 18 meetings in an industry that we didn't know anybody in, had never heard of our brand. Because you just send good emails. I think good emails have not changed, like writing a good email, the principles and what he did then applies today. But AI has really changed what outreach looked like, and it looks like today. And I think a lot of people believe too much of what they read on LinkedIn. So they're generally speaking let's say two forms of cold outreach. One is on LinkedIn and the other one is via email. There are other ways to do cold outreach, and some people will reach out on WhatsApp, which is questionable. Some people like that, some people don't. Some people will reach out in text messages, which there are a lot of laws and restrictions around that, so be careful. Some people will cold call, which is also super effective. It takes a lot more manpower. I think that's one thing that AI can't solve for you. You need humans. There's, again, a lot of laws around cold calling. But when you look at outreach, I think the biggest mistake people make is the same one George talked about, where they're focused on themselves and they're not the customer, and not focused on the customer. So when you reach out and you say, hey, I'm Alex, I built an email platform. It's really awesome. You should try it. People immediately, if they ever saw the email, mark it as spam or delete it. Whereas if you reach out with thoughtful content around what they, sorry about the background music. There's a story there we can come back to. When you reach out about what they actually, what problems they have, do you have this problem? A lot of our customers that are in growing companies or growing their sales motion, hopefully it sounds good. When you reach out to those people and you say, hey, do you have this problem? And you know other people like them and they do have that problem, and it really resonates, that's when it's really effective. So, I think today doing outreach without AI is almost irresponsible, because outreach companies like Skip, other tools, maybe I'll have to address the music in a minute. The other tools that like Skip and maybe other tools, they're so good. Like, they write emails that are better than humans. And for people that don't write sales emails, they're definitely better. But you have to be really thoughtful about who you actually reach out to. So the other piece about outreach today is that just spraying and praying doesn't work as well as it used to. If you're focused, if you run what we call microcampaigns, so you're really thoughtful about who you're targeting, both the companies and the people at those companies. So George's story is a great one, right? Somebody who has an affinity for HubSpot that got a new job is a great person to target. Those are the campaigns that are the most effective. So I think if I'll leave you with one message on this, it's that outreach still works. Cold outreach still works really well, but you have to execute it really well. And if you kind of half-ass it, if you don't do it in a way that's customer-centric, you're not going to get good results. Do people want to hear about? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you say outreach still works. That's good to hear. But what about, like, say in this particular industry, like what we're doing here with Reviting, we're helping businesses go live on LinkedIn. I feel like our biggest objection is imposter syndrome. So founders are afraid to be seen. They're afraid to go live. They're afraid to lead these conversations live on their LinkedIn. Oh my gosh, what is that, like CNN or something? So I've found, like, cold email, that's been one outreach method, hasn't worked too well. Let's see, cold call. I haven't done any cold calling because all the leads we get are people who attend the show, so they're not technically cold. Well, but yeah, talk to me.
Yeah, so to me, all these things work together, right? So you like, for you specifically, Jessie, you've got a brand that you've established. You've got a bunch of content on LinkedIn. You have live streams and things like that. So the outreach, two thoughts. First off, the way cold outreach works, people don't click on emails anymore. The best people at cold email outreach don't actually put links in their emails, because it increases your spam chances and decreases the chance a human sees the email. Right. But they'll go to your website. They'll type in your name and look you up on LinkedIn. Yeah. So even if they're not, yeah. So they used to, like, it used to be that it was direct response. It was like sending one of those mailers, and people would open it. They'd open the Sears catalog and they'd buy something. Right. Now you get the mailer, you go to the website, maybe you buy something, maybe you don't. But it's more of an ad impression than it is necessarily a direct response. Like, oh, I got the catalog, I put in my order. It's more like, oh, now I know about this thing, and at some point when that's relevant to me, I'll call her up. Oh, my boss said we should do more content. I've tuned into a live stream or two. Maybe I heard about it from a cold email. Maybe I never replied, but it creates that awareness that wouldn't be there otherwise. One of our competitors actually somebody was roasting one of their cold emails on LinkedIn and saying, like, how bad the cold email was. And I was like, you're talking about it though. Like, your client reached out to you and said, hey, should I use this service? And they forwarded this cold email. Like, it worked, right? They hadn't heard of you before. They've heard of you now. They're talking about you with an advisor, right? Like this, it's just like any kind of, a way of learning about a business or something you didn't know about. I'll say that I think it works best when somebody's in the market for what you're doing. And in your specific case, Jessie, because you have people showing up for these live streams, if you reaching out to people one-on-one, like George was saying, is really hard to do. But with AI, you can actually do a really good job of reaching out one-on-one and maintaining that relationship without just putting them on a marketing email or newsletter, right? But actually saying, hey, Alex, thanks for coming to the live stream. Do you have, if there's anything that we can help you with, happy to schedule a time. Those emails are super effective, right? And whether you're sending it to 50 or 500 people, like we work with a person who has 1.5 million LinkedIn followers. He does live streams, and there are a bunch of people that show up to those, right? More than he could possibly reach out to one-on-one. And it's a good in between from that, I'm just going to put them on my newsletter and send them a newsletter every week to, hey, these are the people that commented or engaged or asked a question. There might be 100 of them, right? How do I keep engaging with them if there's 100 new ones every week? It's a great problem to have. But I think that that those are the ways that it's effective. And the people that think that it's like Jesus, like this is going to save my business, this is going to be the only thing I do, like they're always disappointed, right? You need to do other stuff.
Right. Everything. Yeah. So would you say then that outreach works in all industries, but you have to, I guess, first of all, be able to reach them because of course, email is getting harder to land in the inbox, but then also have a highly personalized and relevant message?
Yeah. The first part, no, it doesn't work in every industry. There are definitely industries where email does not work very well. And so the only way to find out is to try it. I think I wouldn't listen to a competitor. And if they said, oh, cold email didn't work for me, like it may work for you. It just, maybe they did it wrong. There's so many variables, but I think there are industries it doesn't work in. If people aren't on email, like if you're trying to reach out to trucking companies or truckers, like probably not going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you're thoughtful about like, oh, are these like put yourself in the customer's shoes. Do they check email? If they don't, right? And there are other industries where it might be more effective to use another channel. Like if you're selling to hotels or Airbnbs, like they pick up the phone. Like vacation rental managers are on the phone all the time. Like I would call them before I necessarily emailed them. They might be more likely to pick up the phone if they saw an email beforehand. But anyway, it doesn't always work. I would say like, yes, on the second point, 100%. Like you need to execute it well. If you personalize it to the right level but keep it concise, that's the winning strategy. If somebody's in the market, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? If they're like, oh, I'm thinking about hiring a content strategist or bringing on a content shop to work for me, and you send them an email, then like your email can be not perfect, and they're going to be like, oh, I'm looking for this. She's credible. I'm gonna set up a meeting, right? If they're like absolutely not in the market for it, it doesn't matter how perfect your email is. They're not gonna, right? I mean, George, like your HubSpot customer example, right? If they thought about it, they chose not to buy it. You could email them as many times as you want about HubSpot, and they are not going to buy it. So timing does have a big factor.
Yep. I love what you said, Alex, about looking at the email as an impression, as an ad impression. I think that's really key because every time business owners, I talk to them about doing any email campaigns and they say, I get so many emails, I just ignore them all. I don't want to do that. That's a waste of time. But exactly what you said. It's an impression, and you're not using it necessarily as, oh, they're going to answer me back and say, where have you been all my life? But it's a chance for them to say, oh, I didn't know this exists. Let me look into it a little bit more on my own time, on my own terms. But I'm going to go to the website. I'm going to go see what else is out there. And that can be really valuable for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes other things work better, like cold calling. If you have people to cold call and you send emails first, your cold calling is going to go up. One of our clients, they reached out on LinkedIn, and they said when they were doing it before, they had automated tools to do that, and they'd only get a 12% acceptance rate. Once they started sending emails and reaching out to the people that they emailed, they got like an 85-90% acceptance rate. They hadn't necessarily responded to the email. They just knew who they were. So,
yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, this is a really great topic. we could probably talk about it longer, but we should probably move into evolving B2B content strategy for modern buyers. Now, George, this is your second topic.
It's
Our fourth topic. Could you kick us off
well,
here?
it's very related to what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
It's content beyond email, but all the content that's out there. I just saw a statistic that up to 75% of new content that's being added to the internet today is AI generated, which is mind blowing to think about. There's already way more content being created than anybody has a capacity to consume. And then you think about that, the fact that so much more of it is coming and it's all AI generated. And then AI tools are using that content to train themselves. So it's like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy that's eventually going to start happening. In the old days, if you do that on a Xerox machine, your quality would decline dramatically. So I think it's important to keep, when you talk about content beyond email, just general content, that authenticity is key, that personal touch is critical. And then, we talk about creativity, and that means both something that's unique and something that's very specific to the audience. So as we were saying, something that's going to resonate with them, it's about them. That's where AI can be very valuable in helping you find things that are very specific about them. If you can find out things like the job changes or, press releases that the company has put out there, things like that, that you can tie your solution towards, that's very important because that's specific. Uniqueness, creativity, something that's, a little bit different. I mean, there's, email is email, but what can you do to make it stand out a little bit more than just being another thing in their inbox? And what else can you do to be authentic beyond that type of content, like these live streams? I'm a big fan. This is a great way to show, to share your thought leadership in a authentic, personal way that's not AI generated, that's real, and that people can relate to. So using those things, I think that's how, content I think is right now dramatically shifting towards AI generated content. And, teams are looking at this and saying, wow, I can create so much stuff fast with AI tools. But I think eventually there's going to be a limit. It's going to hit very quickly a ceiling, and it's going to kind of backlash towards personal, authentic, and real. And using AI, again, as a tool to help you get there, but not the only tool, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm curious, before I share anything there, what your take on all that is, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think that AI is, it's kind of ruining and also saving the internet at the same time. I'm not sure. But I think that the live streams and the authentic voice is super important. That said, if you're not at least having Claude edit your emails or edit your newsletter, you're losing out. So I think it's important to keep that balance between the human connection and leveraging AI to enhance that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, not go totally AI slop, because that's also so yeah.
Yeah, be careful with that, because we take the transcripts from these live streams and we feed it to AI to train AI on our clients' voices. So then we can create a month's worth of content based on things they've actually said. But yeah, sometimes you have to read that and make sure that, it's not AI slop is such a good way to put it, Alex. Yeah, I don't know. George, how might you wrap us up on this topic of I guess the full topic that we started off was evolving B2B content for modern buyers. But I'll add in there the part of avoiding that AI slop, because that's what I find to be the hardest thing with content strategy.
Yes.
And AI. Yeah.
Yes. I think, I can sum this up in an analogy. And I think about this a lot. So there's all these new tools, and think about you and your competitors. You're in a race, and suddenly now everyone has access to a car that goes, two different choices, let's say. You've got car A that goes the same speed but uses half the gas, so it's a lot cheaper to run. And some companies look at that and say, that's what we want to do. Let's cut our marketing budget. We can do all this stuff now more cheaply. everything we were doing before. But you got car B, and car B uses the same amount of gas, but it goes twice as fast. And other companies are looking at that saying, oh, wow, with all these tools, now we can go twice as fast. It's not about cutting budgets, but it's about getting more from our marketing investment, getting more value, growing faster, beating our competitors. I think that, if you're in marketing and anyone suggests that your budget can be cut because of AI, kind of share that analogy. It's like, do we want to go the same speed and just save money and let our competitors maybe blow by us? Or do we want to use these tools to go faster and do more and enhance the value that we can deliver and the value that the growth of the company, the enterprise value of our organization, because we're doing things better, we're doing more, and we're doing more effectively.
Yes, I love that. Great analogy. I love when someone can sum things up with a story. So good. But before we wrap up here, hopefully, and we try to top it at the top of the hour, but we still have the guru of the week, and we want to learn a little bit more about you. So, team, can you play that guru of the week video for us? The guru of the week. Ooh, ooh. The guru of the week. Ooh, ooh. I literally saying that like 400 times. So yeah, we can pull me out. Can you both tell us who are these people and why should we go follow them?
All right. Who first? I'll go first.
Okay, you go first. Go first.
All right. So anyway, my guru is Doug Davila, someone I've known for a long time, a good friend, business acquaintance, known him from the American Marketing Association many, many years. Great guy. He does some really pithy little short videos that are very insightful, and he is the definition of a B2B marketing guru. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. Mine is a guy named Sean Burns. He's a founder and a coach to other founders, and he has a lot of great content on leadership strategy, how to make tough decisions as a CEO. So for anybody in the CEO chair, founders out there, it's a great person to follow.
Cool.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for sharing both of them. So I need to go follow Doug, see his videos, and I need to go follow Sean and learn how to be a better CEO. So thank you both for sharing that. And if they see this and we're tagging them in the comments, they should reach out. We'd love to have them on the show as well. But before we go, we want to learn a little bit more about both of you. If you could both just tell us a little bit more about yourself, who it is you serve, how you serve them, and if they could be served by you, how do they reach you? We'll start with you, George.
Great. All right. So yes, we're Pepper Group, full service B2B focused marketing agency. Our value here, our goal is that marketing is often an underappreciated lever. It's the most underappreciated lever, if you will, for driving real enterprise value, valuation of the company, what someone's going to be willing to pay for it. There's 5 key areas that marketing can contribute to that, and we help companies basically grow their enterprise value through marketing. And we apply our revenue tower framework. And that, if you wanted to see that, you want to learn about it, there's a free playbook. There's no gate. There's no, anything there. It's just at revenuetower.com. You can go there and download it for free and take a look at that approach, which is, as I said, a enhancement or a better system. It's a marketing operating system, if you will. And you can throw away your funnel.
Yeah, throw that funnel away. All right. But just make sure you're following up with your leads, please. Don't just let them sit there. That's like the worst thing. We love bringing in leads. Let's do something with them. Okay. So what about you, Alex? Tell us more about you, who you serve, how you serve them, and if they get to be serving you, how do they reach you?
So thanks again for having me. I run Skip. Skip works with founders, sales leaders, even account execs and SDRs. So anybody in the go-to-market space. We provide a variety of things. One of them is a free newsletter, which is just a twice a week tip. It has nothing to do with actually using Skip. It has everything to do with just sales tactics, techniques, things to do. It's very focused on AI and how to compete today in today's market, which is changing every week, it seems. if you're doing outreach or you're considering outreach, we have a tool for that. Happy to talk to you. One of the other things that we've launched recently is helping people find contacts to reach out to. So we realize that that's a big challenge for salespeople, especially today. It's finding the right people to reach out, like we talked about, getting the timing right, looking for signals, looking for buying signals. So that's another service that we provide. But you can find me on LinkedIn, and you can find Skip at skip.ai, and our newsletters at skip.ai/GTM newsletter. You'll probably find it if you go to the website. We're pretty loud about it. But yeah, we're just happy to help anybody in that go-to-market space be a little bit better at go-to-market.
Nice. Well, there's a lot of people who need help with that for sure. So everyone, you just got his contact information. Be sure to reach out. All right. Well, this has been another great episode. Thank you both so much for coming on. And fortunately, we've got another episode planned for next week with 2 more amazing guests. Who are these people? We've got, Chris Rudigrap. He's actually the co-CEO and co-founder of Sendoso, a really cool gifting tool. And we've got Miriam Slamane, CMO and growth marketing advisor. Looking forward to having both of them on for another great discussion here on Wednesday. But until then, hope everyone has a great night. And thank you again, Doug and Alex, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.